Great morning, world. Welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast with your host, Dragon.
Great morning, world. You know, I'm constantly just enjoying. Great morning to you, Chicken, by the way.
Good morning.
Good morning. Chicken's a little cold this morning, so she's got we're in the podcast studio and she's got her blanket on. But here's a little secret about Chicken. She's always cold. She's cold. She's from South Africa. So it's like if I made this like if this was like a hot yoga studio, she would have like a wool blanket on. Anyway, great morning, world. I'm really excited about this episode, but as you know, I get excited about every episode. But we got a real fun guest, and once again, you know, not a guest that I said, hey, I'm guest hunting. The universe just said, here, you know, listen to this person and love it. And then I got a little bit deeper into learning about our guest today, and you're going to love this. So anyway, just very, very much full of gratitude this morning. It's a Monday. I just love Mondays. You know, Chicken and I are just always recognizing how just unusual our lives are, and just, you know, just so full of gratitude. Who do we thank for that? Just all of you, the happy people, the mean people, the people that help us, the people that are against us. We love you all. We're just so honored to have this opportunity to kind of reset another 24 hours today. And, you know, just really, really, and this is going to lead into why I'm so excited to interview our guest today. Chicken and I just really, really have gotten our hands back on the controls of life, where we just know what actually matters and what doesn't. You know, you hear me talk a lot about, you know, I have my one of my famous shirts. We're rocking the Beastie Boys today. I'm a big Beastie Boys fan. I have this shirt that says "Breaking news, I don't care." I care about a lot of things, but I also don't care about things that don't matter, and also things that are out of our control. So I'm really excited to dive into this interview today. But as always, I have to give some props to our sponsor. This episode of, I always like to make her laugh. This episode of the Rise Up with Dragon podcast / show, streaming all over the place, and the clubhouse room is open at Makes Sense, is sponsored by Karma Mind, a just super.
Guided meditation.
I know how to say it, sweetie. I know how to say it, sweetie. Just fast growing podcast called Karma Mind. That is a Buddhist meditation podcast that, in my opinion, a big part of my rise up. It's funny, you know, I've been up since 4:30 this morning. I've already read for about 40 minutes. I've journaled, went for my run. Chicken and I went for a walk today. It was too cold for her. We turned right around, and you know, a lot of things that I'm equipped with now have to do with my ability to bypass my analytical mind. And we do that a lot with meditation, and the Karma Mind meditation podcast is just perfect for that, or to help us go to sleep. So let's jump into this. First and foremost, my guest today that I'm about to bring on, you're just going to love her as a human being. She's not only a human being, but she's a human doing and a human serving as well. I've been just playing a lot in Clubhouse, and I've always been fascinated with network marketing. As you know, Chicken and I own an international health coaching company. We've expanded into Asia, and it's given us our freedom. You know, it's funny, the other day, because a lot of people meet me through the podcast or meet me through my writings or her. But sometimes when people find out, and Deb's going to love this, sometimes people find out that we own a network marketing, direct sales based international company. And, you know, there's all sorts of different, you know, concepts about that and stuff. And I love when those concepts come. And, you know, the other day somebody said to me, is this one of those businesses, one of those things. And I said, well, I'm not sure what you mean. I said, but if you mean living my life around what matters most, working from home and making tons of money and putting my family first and traveling all over the world, yeah, it's one of those. So if you're into one of those, if you're into those sorts of things, so anyway, I'm a big fan of being your own boss in the home-based business. So I've been jumping into these clubhouse rooms with some other friends from other companies just to find these gems and just learn different communication tools and headspaces and all that stuff. And I heard this woman who I have to say, I've never heard her before. As you know, I speak on big stages and I've heard some of the greats, but I've never heard Deb Erickson before. And I just sat back and listened to her, and she's unique. She helps so many people, but she does it in a unique way. So you are definitely going to want to listen, grab a pen, take some notes. We're going to hear a little bit about her story, but she's got a very, very unique approach that is very, very in line with Dragon. So Deb Erickson is a neurotrainer. So I'm very, very interested in neuroscience. I've read every book, and all my idols are neuroscientists. And she's not only a neurotrainer, but a business mindset expert. God, I love that. Love that. And founder of the I Can Institute, which is a company dedicated to helping direct sales and network marketing entrepreneurs, people that are their own boss, around the world, free themselves, right? So I always talk about unlocking ourselves from our mental prison and freeing themselves from the mental and emotional limiters. Write that word down right now, because that's going to be a big takeaway. Write down the word limiters. Mental and emotional limiters that hold them back from success. Shifting them. So here we first, you get free, right? We're in the jacuzzi experience right now, and you guys are all going to get psyched and you're going to learn stuff. So you're going to have that window of opportunity to become free. But then she actually helps shift them into confident, inspired action, increased income, and sustainable business growth. So I always say increased sustainable income and business growth, if you're into that sort of thing. Not everybody is, apparently, So I'm going to bring her out here today, and this is just a special treat. So everybody enjoy the amazing Deb Erickson. So Deb, welcome to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast / show. How are you today?
I am fantastic, and I've been up since 3. So I got you beat, but I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm feeling amazing.
I'm not going to let you just say that and walk away and stick and move me. What is that a regular practice? You get up at 3?
I normally am up a little after 4, but I'm in Mountain Time, and so this is a little bit early for me, and I wanted to be ready. So I have a morning routine that I like to take that kind of preps my day, and so I had to add a little bit of extra prep time this morning.
Give me, because it's not going to be the topic, but I'm a sommelier of morning routines. Yeah. Just give me like 1 minute from eyes open. How do you get yourself ready?
Eyes open before my feet hit the ground. What I know is that in that moment, because my brainwave frequencies, right, are low, you're waking up. And so what's happening is your brainwave frequencies are getting faster and faster and faster. And there is this precious window, right, as you are waking up and as you're going to sleep, that is, your brain is the most susceptible. It is the most open. It's the most sponge-like. And so what I know is before my feet hit the ground, in that moment, I set my intention. What's my intention for the day? I anchor in exactly what it is that I am creating in this moment. I go into gratitude. So before your feet hit the ground. But then once I'm up and moving around, again, what I know is that first hour, it is precious. And so that's when I'm going to do my visualization meditation. I'm going to anchor in my vision board. So I have kind of a step-by-step morning routine that I don't let that get violated for anything. No checking emails, none of that. Because this is the time frame that if you use it, you harness it, it sets up your reticular activating system, that part of the brain that sifts and sorts. It sets it up for looking for, identifying, and attracting exactly what it is you intended for the day. So to me, that it's the most important hour of the day.
So just side note, everybody listening and watching, and I don't know, just there's so many different ways people are receiving information now. In one of the sessions that I was listening to Deb talk, I heard her talk a little bit about that morning routine. And I said a couple of things about my morning routine in that session too. And I just want everybody to just take note of something, because you're about to learn a lot of cool stuff. But just take note of the fact that she recognized, and I'm the same, I will never come into a scenario not at my best. So she recognized that this interview, which I'm very honored that she did that, was coming at an earlier time than she's used to doing an interview. So what did she do? She didn't skip anything. She woke up earlier to make sure that she got her. So what that says is that's how important the morning routine is, that it's not something that you miss. Love that. So Deb, one of the things, because I want to jump right into neural training and limiters, which I just love. And people are starting to come into the Clubhouse room. So guys, in the Clubhouse room, Deb, if you have time after, we'll jump in there and we can answer some questions. But ping everybody that you know, whether they're in network marketing or not, they're going to gain lots of value off of Deb. So you can listen right now. You can watch it on YouTube, on Facebook. They'll all be recorded. I'll load it to the Rise Up with Dragon podcast after. Deb, my listeners, I know what they like, and they're going to love what it is that you do, but they also want to know why. And I've learned a lot about you, and I would love you to share a little bit about the story. I wrote something down. I think you're going to love this. I said, here's what I want. I'm thinking, what do I want to know from Deb today? So this is what I wrote down. I said, how or where do we learn what we can't do? Right? It's like learned helplessness. And then how do we shift from can't to can? So when I was listening to your story and reading about you, I know that when the way you grew up, you know what I mean. So about learning what you can't do. So talk a little bit about that and how your version of what I call the dragon was woken up to go out and do what you do.
Yeah. So I will tell you that I experienced, some childhood sexual abuse. I was raped as a teenager. I had challenges, right? My parents were missionaries. I grew up overseas. And when I came back as a junior in high school in the 70s. And it was such culture shock. Here I was, this chubby foreign kid coming into a very cliquish high school. I was bullied. I was rejected. I honestly, I was very suicidal as a teenager. It was just like, it felt to me like it's too much to overcome. The wounds were too big. I had a high school basketball coach that in my mind really saved my life, because what she did was she taught me the power of my own mind. She taught me how to visualize, how to meditate. She was a big believer in PMA. At the time, that was, positive mental attitude. She made me read Think and Grow Rich as a junior in high school. Now, I got to tell you, I'm horribly dyslexic. I mean, everything kind of felt like it was really stacked against me. But in that moment, when she gave me those skill sets and that understanding, it put me on a trajectory of recognizing that instead of seeing my life, as a mess and I can't and I'm no good and I'm ugly and I'm chubby and I'm unacceptable and la, 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 right? All the stuff that we do. It opened a window, Dragon. It opened this tiny little window to possibility, to hope. And hope is the window, right? Hope is the window that offers us an opportunity to see what is possible, right? And so I will tell you that my interest in self-development, my interest in personal development, neuroscience, all of it really began back as a junior in high school. And it really, it was the turning point for me, right? It was the turning point. So when I went to college, I finally got into college under a special program, right? As law of attraction would have it. And so this special program opened up, even though I didn't qualify to go to college. And I got a degree in education because I learned how to learn. And that was another big turning point when I figured out that all of the messages of my childhood were nothing more than other people's opinions. and that I could experience a different reality. And so as all of that happened, I was a teacher and a coach for the beginning of my career. And while I loved every minute of that, I was frustrated because I realized there were so many wounded. And because I was a women's, I started out as a men's basketball coach, moved to a women's basketball coach. And what I realized is all of the coaching and teaching techniques and tools that I was trained, traditional training, didn't work as well for women as they did for men. So when I was coaching men, I could jump in their face, right? And get up in their space and challenge them. And it worked. It didn't work for women. And I began to start putting together these pieces that we are all uniquely wired. And based on our past experiences, we have a framework and an understanding of the world that limits our potential. But those are all our own framework, our own making. We buy into the story of I can't. We create an I can't mindset, and that's what limits our life experience. But when you realize that you have the power to hack into the neuroplasticity of the brain, you can hack into the way your brain was wired and change it, that opens up endless possibilities. So that's the beginning of my story.
I love that. And, just listening to you, what I love about podcasts is even though there's going to be a lot of people that watch this and listen, I'm just here present with you now. And I love to learn and listen. And when I think about all that you do now and these big events that you do and all these people that you train, and this whole concept of neural training, I understand now why you do it. And I think it's really important for people to, whenever they come across a Deb Erickson that knows all this stuff, sometimes we kind of fall in line as the student listening to the teacher. I think it's really important to look at these people that are up there doing all these great things and ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? And if you listen to Deb's story, where she comes from, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm getting the feeling like you don't want anybody feeling that. You don't want anybody walking around with I can't, because you know that it's a fugazi, right? It's like one of my mentors told me one time. He says, guilt is a self-created imaginary thing. You can't smell it, you can't taste it, and you can't see it. But then again, you claim that you have it. So I'm totally in line with this now. So let's unpack that a little bit more and get into some of the neural training. I always look back at, my program that's running, because we know that, and I want you to speak to this too. Most of what we use to make our decisions all day is our unconscious mind, which is really not our unconscious mind. Somebody else, and I call it your mother, father, teacher, preacher, society, has programmed your program, which is running all the time. So that's where these limiters are created, right? So in the field of network marketing, and which, from what I understand, you have been in several of those companies and risen to the top. So you not only know what it takes to succeed, but you also know what the training lacks in that realm. So talk a little bit about what's the process and how does neural training work? This idea of rewiring the brain, the neuroplasticity, because it's very, very capable of rewiring. And I know that because Dragon was a mythical creature to me. Now he's somebody that is real. So just talk about how you address these limiters and how neural training works.
So I want to come back to what you said about subconscious mind isn't our own, because that's a brilliant recognition of that. So imagine that you open up your laptop and there are all these little file folders on the computer screen or on your homepage. And if you open up those little file folders, what do you see? You see everything that you've put into the file folder. Not just you, but anybody who's had access to your laptop could have been stuffing stuff inside those folders. So if you have a folder that says my potential, the truth is, it's not just you that has put stuff in that file folder. It's every experience, every waking moment of however many years you've been on the planet, right? There's been there's been stories, there's been beliefs, there's been energy, there's been expectation, there's been your interpretation of all of it. And so that is what is running your potential. That's whatever's in that file. So you're right. Whoever has had.
I love that the funny thing is that we call it my folder, but it's not really yours.
No. Well, you own it. Let's be honest. You own it, but you didn't originate it. The problem is that we repeat, right? Everything that's in there, every identity, every statement. When you say I am, whatever follows it, as you continue to repeat it over and over and over, you do own it. And so think of it this way, Dragon. There is a cycle. I call it the business mindset cycle. So it begins with your core belief. Your core belief is what's running the show. That's what is your autopilot. That's what's in that file. And then that core belief inspires moment to moment to moment thoughts. And women are thinking, we used to say about 65,000 thoughts a day. Scientists now saying, it's probably more like 6,000. The point isn't how many thoughts you're thinking. The point is it's a whole lot of thoughts, and the vast majority of them are negative. We know that 95% of your thoughts are repetitive, and of the repetitive thoughts, a good 80 to 90% of them are negative, just because that's the pattern. So what's happening is your brain is on this fast track that you don't even own, and it's this negative thought and negative limiters really that keep repeating. Those thoughts generate emotions. So if you have a core belief that says, I'm not enough, and then the thought that gets inspired is, I can't, why bother? It's never going to happen for me. And then from that thought comes an emotion like doubt and, like you're saying, a sense of helplessness. Then that emotion either pushes us towards action or away from action. And that action is what gives us results. So it's a cycle. Now, here's what I see in our industry, and this is why I created ICANN Institute, was that what I was seeing is there were so many human beings showing up with faulty core programming, right? That I'm not enough. I can't do it. It's never going to happen for me. And as you come in with that, we know what the cycle is going to spawn, right? We know what it's going to generate. Then you get into company training and industry training that says, just take more action. Go, 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 go. Do this and this and this and this and this. Here's the problem. When you try to push yourself into more action with a faulty or limited, I can't mindset, then it's kind of like you're pushing upstream, right? It's like you're going against the flow. It's like you're sticking your boat in the stream and paddling upstream. And if you paddle hard enough for long enough, you will make progress, but it will exhaust you. Sooner or later, when you have to take a break, your boat will turn downstream again, and you'll end up in the same patterns in the same place. And guess what that does? It reinforces the limiting belief that I'm not enough and I really can't do this business. So what I saw was an industry that was so traditional in its training that it was pushing this model of forcing more action without solving the core issues, right? We didn't rewrite the program. And so that's what I'm committed to. I don't want to tell you to do the business differently. What I want to do is equip you with an I can mindset. That's why I named my company ICANN Institute. I want to help you develop an I can mindset so that selling and sponsoring can be joyous and there can be that flow, and you now are working with the energy. So that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing.
I love that. One of the things that I speak about, see, you know how you know that Dragon likes what you're saying is I always look off when somebody says something and I go, yeah. One of my favorite quotes or sayings is, who you are determines how well what you do works. And what I'm getting from you, because in the network marketing or home-based business, or for that matter, anybody that becomes an entrepreneur and goes out and does something, it could be like day trading or anything like that. I always say 2 men enter, 1 man leads. And that means that two people can enter the same environment with the same background, the same potential. Why does one person get more success with or without neural training?
Right.
And my observation is that those people, and in this industry, the best person, and I was one of those people, that will grow and flourish and probably hit walls of their own and need help down the road, are the people that don't know they can't. So
Right.
That's the defining. So who you are does determine how well what you do works. I have a question. I've been dying to ask you this because there's so many different trains of thoughts. Another programmed belief is this idea that things like timing, things like motivation or belief, right? If those things are not in alignment, if all the planets aren't aligned, people have a tendency of saying, now's not a good time. One of my favorite things in the world is when you offer someone, you say, hey, Dragon, I can offer you physical, mental, and financial well-being. And I say, now's not a good time, right? I never understood that. So belief, motivation, timing, how much weight do those things have in someone's ability to run?
Yeah, I always say that when I was looking for partners in my network marketing company, what I always looked for was a readiness, ready, willing, and able. Because what ready, willing, and able does is it kind of launches somebody out of the starting blocks, right? They're ready because the time in their life says now, right? Their energy, their mindset, their attitude, their financials, everything is saying now is a good time for me. It has nothing to do with the company or the industry or the economy. It has to do with me. Am I ready? Right? Willingness is, am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to face my fears? Am I willing to do the training? Am I willing to give what I need to give? And able is, do I have the resources, or am I able to find the resources to make this occur? So what happens is, as a recruiter, if I'm out in the world and I'm trying to convince someone, now's a great time, but they're in resistive mode. They're resisting because they're pushing, right? They're pushing against. They're holding their hands up. If they're in resistance, then I'm going to spend a whole lot of energy convincing, which is the model of the industry. The model of the industry is convince people against their will or against the moment. And if I want to get myself in flow as a recruiter, what I want to do is find, attract, align with people who are ready, willing, and able. So can those other people come into the business? Absolutely. And I can nurture them and love them. And I put them in I kind of put them in what I call the soup, right? So I'm going to let them marinate. I'm going to let them grow. I'm going to let them get healthy. I'm going to give them the seeds, right? Those are the 80%ers. I'm going to give them what they need where they are while I call them into more. But if I want to find flow in my business, then I need to keep searching for and opening the door to those who are ready, willing, and able to run with me, be my partners and run with me while I love on and nurture the rest. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And what's ironic about all this is the people, and I was one of them, the people that have a tendency of having a concept or a negative vibe about a home-based business. The whole premise behind the negative vibe is that idea that you're going to be persuaded into something. Nobody wants to be persuaded. So I always, when I go out every day, I always set an intention to get people, but not with my hands. I set an intention to get people. I'm pointing at for Clubhouse people, pointing at my head right now. Okay, so I heard you in another interview talk about something that I just loved, and it was this concept. So I read a book a while ago because I recognized that I had an upper limit problem. I had an issue with, and for me it was abandonment. Anytime I would get even close to crushing it in life, all someone needed to do is say, but I need help over here, and I would leave my course of moving forward to help them. I heard you talk about this idea of how we always have a tendency of starting from what you called your basement. Speak a little bit. I loved this, by the way. This is one of my favorite little snackables that I heard you talk about. Speak a little bit about how people have a tendency of doing that, and how through what your neural training, you get them to elevate their starting point a little bit. Love that.
Right. Well, we all have a neuroset point, right? And that neuroset point is really, it's like it's kind of like the, what I'm trying to say here is it's the mechanism that maintains safety and security. So if everybody draw a little box on your notepad, draw a little box, and inside that, I want you to put your current rank, your current income, and your current identity, right? That's what you're going to put inside the box. Now, what the brain says is stay there, because that's safe. That's the known. And if you begin to push the boundary and you want more, if your goal is outside that set point, which it almost always is, right? We're trying to create something else, and you need to know that you are going to get triggered. Fear is going to get triggered. Doubt's going to get triggered. Uncertainty is going to get triggered. So what the brain does always as you're moving towards a goal is says, hey, move back to the basement, move back to the beginning, move back to the place where we are absolutely positively certain, say that we are safe and secure. And then as we begin to elevate, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as you move from safety and security and you begin to elevate, what happens is you must challenge the unknown and the uncertainty and the fear and all of the stories that are designed to hold you in your current limited experience. And so what we want to do constantly, right, is to push the boundary. A lot of people say, well, and you can easily call that set point your comfort zone. You've heard a million times that everything good that's wanted, right? Everything you want is outside your set point. So you have to step outside your set point. Well, that is true. But the minute you do, you will activate fear. You will have to put on your big girl panties, so to speak, right? And you'll have to force and use willpower and discipline and conscious mind. These are all aspects of the conscious mind, right? You have to use all of that energy to push. And as you do that, here's something that I want you to know is that you're using the weakest part of your mind, the weakest part of your brain. It's only 3% of the power: willpower, discipline, conscious mind. But when you use a reprogrammed subconscious mind, and every single day you are extending out that set point, you are elevating the ceiling, you are elevating your starting point, what happens is that now you begin every single day from a higher level. It's one of the reasons we use neurotools to retrain your core beliefs, because what we're doing is we are elevating the place you're starting from. So if you start, I'll give you a really quick little tool that you can use is rate yourself. It's called a SUDS rating, SUDS. And it basically allows you to rate yourself 1 to 10, right? And yes, it's subjective, but it gives you a feeling. So if I said, how strong is your belief, your certainty that you can achieve your goals? That's your I canness, right? You might say a 7. Right? If I really get to how certain am I, right? Let's say it's a 7. So if you are a 7, then every single day as you're pushing towards your 10, you are pushing that set point. You're pushing the ceiling. You're pressing out. But if we elevate every single day, so you go from a 7 to a 7.25 and 7.5 and 7.75, and we elevate that certainty quotient, then guess what? It's like you're starting the day as a different person from a different perspective with a different core belief. Now, all of a sudden, instead of starting back at your personal basement, wherever that is, now we're elevating that core launching pad, right? It changes everything. It's how you pick up speed. It's how you push your set point. It's how you really change your programming.
I love that. I remember one time Steve Jobs was talking about, first of all, one of the funniest I can'ts is how quickly people give up. And any story of anybody that's reached the mountaintop, they've clawed their way there. I always we know that success leaves clues, and I always tell people you need to go fail a little bit more before you stop. But Steve Jobs spoke about this idea of he never knew until he knew that we kind of live in a bubble. So let's call that our comfort zone, our bubble. And he never knew that you could walk up to the edge of that bubble and poke it. Right. And I heard that and I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because like we try so hard and we read all these books and we spend all this money to learn how to break through. And he's just saying, are you aware that you can poke at it and it's pliable? What's interesting about it, though, what you're saying is this idea of the comfort zone, the known. We know that growth is outside of the known. We'll call it the unknown, and it's scary. But once we do step into the unknown, it becomes the new known. So I think what you're saying is that if we never allow ourselves to step into the unknown, we'll always be starting from the same known in that same basement. And one of the things I love to, because the amount of income that leaders in these companies make is what most people would call absurd. But what's funny about those leaders, and I always challenge them, is the day that they get their bonus, their pay, they get excited about the growth, but 3 seconds later they want something more. So it's constantly growing. You've mentioned several times neural tools. So I want to, as we kind of come to the end, I want people to get a little bit of a better feel of what it's like to receive neural training. So speak a little bit about that, because I think everybody that's listening to this is like, yeah, that's me. Yep, that's me too. Me as well. I have limitations still. They might be bigger than others. Talk a little bit about neural training and what people can expect when they engage in it.
Well, it really, number one is what we just talked about. It's going to elevate your core, right? It's going to elevate your core beliefs. There are really two kinds of tools. There's a tool that elevates your core. So every single day you're starting from a higher set point, right? The second kind of neuro tool is a shift in the moment. So right here, right now, I'm feeling fear. And I have really two choices. One is just get up my courage and try to push through it. And quite honestly, if that was going to work for you, it probably already has. But an easier way is to lower the fear center, right? To silence fear so that you can move easily and effortlessly and confidently. So if I said, you want to drink, right? You'd say, yeah. And you'd pick up a cup and drink, because there's no fear. There's no doubt. There's no hesitancy. There's certainty. There's a high level of certainty and there's no threat. But if I said to you, right, that you had to walk across a tightrope over 100-foot drop into, a pit of alligators to get that water, all of a sudden, now there's uncertainty, there's doubt, there's fear, there's all that energy. And so what we want to do for people is to help them lower the fear center, move easily and effortlessly, joyfully, playfully into action, the exact action they want to do, and elevate that core belief in themselves every single day. So here's what we know. In order to reprogram the subconscious mind, right? In order to elevate that core, several things are required. Number one, we want to lower the brain wave frequency because it puts us in a receptive state. So if you're in panic and high beta, right? And you're action, thinking, it's kind of like you're trying to pour something into, let's say I have a cup with a lid, right? And I'm trying to pour valuable stuff into my cup. It's just going to fall right off, right? Because it can't get in. So we have to open up receptivity. That means lower the brain wave frequency. That's number one. Number two, we have to repeat its repetition over time. So if you go to a live event, and I love live events, I hold them all the time because I want to help people transform in the moment. I want you to have this experience, because it's experience that teaches, not words. So I want you to have this core experience of elevating what you know, who you know you are, right? I want you to have that experience in a live event. But then what I know is that's like only one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is repetition over time. It's a layering effect over and over and over. You were programmed into your current limited core beliefs in the first 7 years of life, repetition over time. When you were receptive, you were open, and somebody said to you, somebody told you, or you interpreted life experience, right, that helped you identify limits. And so now we got to change that. And what we know, it's going to take time, repetition over time. So what neurotools do is they give you the resource to make that happen. So there are neurotools that help you elevate your core. So we're going to lower the brainwave frequency and give you new language, a new foundation, right? The beliefs you should have gotten as a child. Beliefs like you're enough, you can do this, you're unstoppable, you're incredible, right? You are magnetic, you're attractive, you're beautiful, you are enough. Those are the kind of messages that if we really own that at our core, it would change everything. And then we also really need the tools to deal with fear. When our fear center gets triggered, how do we silence it so that we can move boldly and confidently into action? So what men tend to do on a just our wiring and our culture and probably hormonal energy, right? What men tend to do is they love to just move into action, just make it happen. And what women want to do is process and think and feel their way into it. So you asked me before we started, you said, who tends to find harmony in this training? And I'll tell you, number one, anybody who has a wounded past, anybody who understands that they can have more, anybody who is struggling more than they should be. If this industry is hard work, then you're working upstream, right? You're paddling upstream. You're working against your programming. So anybody who understands alignment, understands attraction, anybody who wants to feel that a higher understanding of the I can energy, the I can mindset, this is for them. But I will tell you, women tend to flock to it because they have been battered mentally and emotionally, battered by society and by our gender and by all kinds of stuff. So while it's powerful for everyone, I will tell you, women tend to align quicker because they've been pushing the boulder up the hill and it isn't working, right? They've been beating their heads against the wall and it isn't working and they're exhausted. And so what I'd tell you is, if you're exhausted, if you're working too hard, if you're stuck, stalled, struggling, right? If you're frustrated, then neurotraining, these neural tools are going to lighten the load, lift the energy, move you into action. You're still going to be doing the same stuff. I mean, come on, we got to sell, we got to recruit, we got to sponsor, we got to build a team. These are all the necessities in our business, but it doesn't have to be a struggle. And that's where neuroscience, neurotraining, neurotools really give us the resource to shift how we do what we do. Is that good?
I love it. Yeah. And I love how you delineate. It's open to all, but I can totally vibe with how women. I mean, because I could show you elements of my business, my industry, where I see the same thing. And I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. Dragon's been to about 50 shows, and one of my favorite songs are "Women Are Smarter." So that's debatable as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Deb, this has been just such a treat. I don't know if you have the ability, I'd love you to come join us in the clubhouse room. Just, look up my account. You and I cross paths all the time. I've got a room open there, and I see some people already have their hands up. So that's @makes_sense for anybody else that's watching this live that wants to jump in and ask Deb some questions. But Deb, here we are. I always say we've just experienced another jacuzzi experience. Everybody's like, wow. And there's probably some verbiage change. But right after this, without training and without repetition, as she said, your wiring hasn't changed yet. You're just excited right now, and you're going to get a knuckle sandwich today. So, Deb, what's an action step? I know that you have an event coming up right now, and anybody can definitely find out tons of information about Deb at icaninstitute.com. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Find her at the ICANN Institute on her Instagram. I have that located there. What's an action step that somebody can take?
Here's what I'd love to do. I'd love to help you use a neuro tool today. So go to icaninstitute.com, and across the top, the menu bar, there's free resources or free training, I think it's called. Click free training, and then click on the Rise and Thrive neuro tool. So a free neuro tool for you, Rise and Thrive. Click on that, and basically what you're going to do is get a little mini course about neuro tools, and you're going to get that free neuro tool. When you listen to it, here's the fascinating thing. It's a binaural, which means you have information coming in on the right side, information coming in left side. So most definitely put in your headset and just let the confusion, right? Because I'm talking on top of myself. Let the confusion overwhelm you. Let your mindset and your brainwave frequency, let it match the music. So basically what it's doing is it is helping you reprogram your core knowledge of who you are, your I am enough. So it's a great way to get started today. That's number one. Number two is check out the live event that is coming up. When I say live, it's really virtual, but it's happening in real time in April. But just check the events tab. And that event is called Ascend. It is a sponsoring mindset workshop. So the idea is we are going to radically up-level your mindset, your attitude around your selling and sponsoring identity so that can all become easy and effortless. So I would say those are the two action steps. Check those out. Make sure you start using that neuro tool today, and then immediately check out our event. We'd love to have you join us.
Awesome. So what a treat. So will you have some time to jump in?
Absolutely. I'll go right over right now.
I'll ping you again, and then we're going to invite some more people in there. Thank you so much for your time. Deb is just, Dragon runs into these people, and it's no mistake because, I very, very much vibe with a lot of stuff that she's talking about. And I only bring people on here that I meet that way and that are legitimately serving the world to enhance it and creating conversations that matter. I think a lot of things that she said made a lot of sense to people. So as a quick reminder, you can follow me on Clubhouse at Makes Sense. We've got a lot of great rooms. In fact, today, this is timestamp, I don't know when you're hearing this podcast, at 12 noon Eastern, I have the amazing Tamsin Astor, who wrote Force of Habit. She's going to be talking about habits in there. A lot of great rooms in there. Instagram, Rise Up with Dragon. YouTube, Rise Up with Dragon. And as always, go visit us on iTunes or all of the podcast platforms at Rise Up with Dragon, and let us know what you think. Leave us a nice review. We always appreciate that, getting the message out. Deb Erickson, thank you so very much, and I will see you in the next room. This is it for today, and now we're going to go with my self-made JC EDM / outro. Love and appreciate you, and have a great day.